A man stood in front of his family's $2.4 million estate. The keys were in his hand. The deed was in his name. His brother had no idea what was coming. But there was something he didn't know about their father's will. A single hidden clause that would destroy everything. I'm Maxime Verdier, and today's case is about a brother who thought he'd pulled off the perfect betrayal, until a lawyer revealed one sentence that changed everything. Let's call him Marcus. Marcus was the older brother, 42 years old, successful businessman, ran a regional sales company, confident, charismatic, the kind of guy who always knew how to work a room and close a deal. His younger brother Daniel, 38, quieter, worked as a high school history teacher, never made waves, never asked for much, the kind of person who'd rather read a book than argue about money. Growing up, Marcus was always Dad's favorite. At least that's what everyone thought. He got the business advice, the investment tips, the mentorship. Daniel got the emotional support, the encouragement, the quiet pride, different kinds of love, but love nonetheless. When their father passed away at 78 after a brief illness, the brothers seemed united in grief. They planned the funeral together, shared memories, hugged at the service. Marcus was named executor of the estate. Made sense. He was the older one, the businessman, the one Dad trusted with financial decisions. That trust was about to be weaponized. The estate was substantial. The family home, a beautiful 4-bedroom colonial, worth $1.2 million. Investment accounts totaling $800,000. 2 rental properties worth $400,000 combined. Their father had built wealth slowly over 40 years of careful saving and smart investing. And according to the will Marcus showed Daniel, it was supposed to be split equally between both sons. 50-50. Fair and simple. Marcus had other plans. 2 weeks after the funeral, while Daniel was still processing his grief, Marcus called. "Hey, we need to talk about Dad's estate. There's some paperwork you need to sign. Just formalities. But the lawyer says we need to get it done." Daniel drove over that evening. Marcus had documents spread across the dining room table of their father's house. Official-looking papers everywhere. Legal language, county stamps, notary seals. It looked legitimate. "It's just transfer paperwork," Marcus said, sliding papers across the table. "Standard estate stuff. Transfers everything out of Dad's name. Sign here, here, and here." Daniel picked up the pen, started reading. Marcus interrupted. "You don't need to read all that legal jargon. It's the same stuff the lawyer already explained. Just says we're accepting the inheritance as beneficiaries." Daniel hesitated, but this was his brother, the guy who'd taught him to ride a bike, who'd defended him from bullies in middle school. Why would he lie? He signed. What Daniel didn't know, those weren't estate transfer forms. They were quitclaim deeds. Documents signing over his entire inheritance to Marcus. Every asset, every property, every dollar. Daniel had just given away $1.2 million without realizing it. Within a month, Marcus had moved fast, transferred the house into his name, consolidated the investment accounts, refinanced the rental properties. All of it now belonged solely to Marcus. Daniel got nothing, but Marcus didn't stop there. He sold one of the rental properties immediately, pocketed $180,000, used it to buy a new BMW and take his family on a month-long European vacation. He posted photos online, living large, caption after caption about Dad's legacy and honoring his memory. Daniel saw the posts, felt something was off, but he trusted Marcus. Figured his brother was just the executor managing things, and his own share would come eventually. He was wrong. 3 months passed, then 6. Daniel finally called Marcus. "Hey, when do we settle the estate? I could really use my portion. Teacher salary doesn't go far, and I've got some repairs needed on my house." Marcus's voice was smooth, practiced. "Oh, it's still in probate. Legal stuff takes time. Could be another year. You know how slow the courts are." Daniel accepted it. He didn't know any better. But then something happened that Marcus hadn't planned for. 6 months after their father's death, Daniel received a letter from the county tax assessor, property tax notice for their father's house. Except the name on it wasn't Marcus's name, and it wasn't their father's name. It was something called the Thornton Family Trust. Daniel had never heard of it. He called Marcus. "Hey, I got this weird tax bill. What's the Thornton Family Trust?" There was a pause on the line, just a second too long. "Oh, that's just Dad's estate planning structure. Part of the legal framework. Don't worry about it. I'll handle the taxes." But Daniel couldn't shake the feeling something was wrong. He started asking questions, called his father's old friends, talked to neighbors. Everyone seemed confused about why Daniel wasn't living in the family home or why Marcus was making all the decisions alone. One of his father's closest friends finally said it. "Your dad always said that house was for both of you. He talked about it all the time. Wanted to make sure you were both taken care of equally." That's when Daniel knew. He went to a lawyer, not a big fancy firm, just a local attorney who handled estate cases. Her name was Sarah Chun, mid-50s, sharp eyes, 20 years of experience watching families destroy each other over money. Daniel brought the documents Marcus had him sign, explained the whole situation, showed her the tax notice. Sarah's face went from interested to concerned to angry in about 30 seconds. "Mr. Thornton, these aren't transfer forms. These are quitclaim deeds. You signed away your inheritance." Daniel felt the room spin. "What? No." Marcus said these were just... He said they were standard. Sarah shook her head. "Your brother lied to you. These documents transferred your entire portion of the estate to him. You have no legal claim to anything now." Daniel couldn't breathe. "Can we fight this?" Sarah leaned back. "Maybe, if we can prove fraud or undue influence. But we need to see your father's original will first. The actual document, not a copy." Daniel called Marcus that night, tried to keep his voice steady. "I need to see Dad's will. The original." Marcus got defensive immediately. "Why? What's this about?" "I just need to see it. It's with my attorney, in a safe. I can't just pull it out whenever someone asks. I'm not someone. I'm Dad's son, your brother. I have a right to see it." Marcus's tone changed, harder. "You signed the papers, Daniel. Everything's done. Stop making problems." And he hung up. That's when Daniel knew for certain. His brother had stolen his inheritance. Sarah filed a petition with the probate court the next day. Demanded the original will be produced for inspection. Marcus tried to delay. Filed motions. Said the will was in storage. Then with a different attorney. Then temporarily misplaced. The judge wasn't amused. "Mr. Thornton, you have 2 weeks to produce the original will or face contempt charges." 3 weeks later, they were all in court. Daniel sat on one side with Sarah. Marcus sat on the other with his attorney, a slick guy in an expensive suit named Richard Calloway. The judge, an older woman named Judge Patricia Morrison, had seen 1,000 estate disputes. She was not someone you wanted to lie to. Calloway stood up confident, presented a copy of the will. Clean, notarized, official seal from the county. "Your Honor, this is a certified copy of the decedent's last will and testament. As you can see, everything is split equally between both sons, with Marcus Thornton named as executor." Seemed straightforward. The judge examined it. "And the original?" Calloway smiled. "Unfortunately, the original was lost in a flood at the attorney's office who drafted it. This certified copy is legally equivalent." Judge Morrison raised an eyebrow. "Convenient." Sarah stood up. "Your Honor, I'd like to present evidence that contradicts that statement." She handed documents to the bailiff. "We've obtained the original will directly from the estate attorney who drafted it 15 years ago, Mr. Howard Brennan, who is present in court today." An older man in the back stood up. Late 70s, retired attorney, but still sharp. Marcus's face went pale. Judge Morrison looked at Calloway. "You said the original was destroyed in a flood?" Calloway looked confused. Looked at Marcus. Marcus was staring straight ahead, jaw clenched. Mr. Brennan walked forward. handed a manila envelope to the judge. Your Honor, I personally drafted this will in 2010. I kept a copy in my personal files, as I do with all important estate documents. When Ms. Chun contacted me, I pulled the file immediately. The judge opened the envelope, pulled out the original will. She placed it next to the copy Marcus had submitted. The courtroom was silent. She read both documents carefully, flipped through pages, compared signatures, examined the notary seals. Then she stopped. Her eyes narrowed. These documents are identical, word for word, same formatting, same signatures. Marcus exhaled slightly. Maybe he'd get away with it. Then the judge continued. Except for one thing. She held up the original will, pointed to the last page. At the very end of this original document, there is an additional clause, a single paragraph. That paragraph does not appear in the copy submitted by Mr. Marcus Thornton. The judge read it aloud. In the event that the appointed executor is found to have acted fraudulently, deceptively, or against the interests of any beneficiary, said executor shall be immediately removed from position and shall forfeit any and all inheritance, bequests, and distributions under this will. In such circumstances, the remaining beneficiary or beneficiaries shall receive the entire estate in equal shares. This clause cannot be modified or removed except by written amendment signed by the testator and witnessed by two unrelated parties. The courtroom erupted. Daniel's jaw dropped. Marcus looked like he was going to be sick. Judge Morrison banged her gavel. Order. She looked directly at Marcus. Mr. Thornton, this clause was clearly removed from the copy you submitted to this court. Can you explain why? Marcus stumbled over his words. I don't. That must be an older version. My copy is the most recent. Dad must have updated it. Mr. Brennan stood again. Your Honor, may I speak? Please. I witnessed this will personally. That clause was specifically requested by Mr. Thomas Thornton Sr. He told me, and I quote, I love my boys, but money changes people. I need protection built in if one of them tries something stupid. Those were his exact words. I remember because it was unusual. Most people don't think their children would betray each other. The judge looked at Marcus. Do you have evidence of a newer will without this clause? Any documentation of your father wanting it removed? Marcus didn't answer, because there wasn't any. Judge Morrison's voice was ice. Mr. Calloway, does your client have any explanation for why a crucial clause protecting the estate from fraud was deleted from the copy he's presenting as authentic? Calloway whispered with Marcus. Marcus shook his head. Your Honor, my client maintains that his copy is correct and your client is lying. The words hung in the air. This court will not tolerate document fraud. I'm ordering a full investigation. Forensic document analysis. Handwriting experts. The entire will and all related documents are to be examined. She looked at Daniel. Mr. Daniel Thornton, until this is resolved, all estate assets are frozen. Neither party may access, sell, or transfer any property. Marcus tried to object. The judge shut him down with a look. The investigation took 6 weeks, and they found everything. Forensic experts confirmed that Marcus's copy was created after their father's death. The paper was newer. The toner was from a different printer. Even the fold marks didn't match original storage patterns. Marcus had scanned the original, deleted that one paragraph in a computer program, and printed a new original. But they found more. Much more. Those documents Daniel had signed? Forensic handwriting analysis showed that some of Daniel's signatures had been traced. Marcus had practiced Daniel's signature and forged it on additional documents Daniel never even saw. There were false tax records, backdated paperwork, even emails where Marcus had impersonated Daniel to a title company. It wasn't just inheritance theft. It was systematic fraud, forgery, exploitation of their father's estate. Sarah filed an emergency motion invoking the hidden clause. The hearing was brutal. Prosecutor evidence showed that Marcus had planned this before their father even died. He'd accessed their father's safe deposit box while their father was still in hospice, made copies of documents, started setting up his scheme. Marcus tried to defend himself, said it was all a misunderstanding, that he was just trying to simplify the estate process, that Daniel didn't understand business. Judge Morrison cut him off. Mr. Thornton, you deliberately altered your father's will. You forged your brother's signature on legal documents. You created false records. You sold property that wasn't yours to sell. You defrauded your brother of over $1 million. She paused. Your father wrote that clause for exactly this reason. He knew you, and he protected his other son from your greed. The ruling was swift and devastating. Marcus was immediately removed as executor. A neutral third-party administrator was appointed. And then came the big one. Under the terms of the hidden clause, Marcus forfeited his entire inheritance. Every dollar, every property, everything. The entire $2.4 million estate went to Daniel. The house Marcus had been living in, he had 30 days to vacate. The investment accounts he'd been using, frozen and transferred to Daniel. The rental property he'd already sold, Marcus had to repay that $180,000 from his own funds. With interest, Marcus tried to appeal. His lawyer argued the clause was too harsh, that it was an unconstitutional forfeiture. The appeals court disagreed, upheld the ruling, but Judge Morrison wasn't done. She referred the case to the district attorney's office for criminal prosecution. Marcus was charged with forgery in the first degree, fraud, theft by deception, and exploitation of an estate. The trial took 3 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. Marcus was convicted on all counts. The judge in the criminal case sentenced him to 3 years in state prison, 5 years probation after release, and restitution of all legal fees Daniel had incurred, over $85,000. Marcus appealed the criminal conviction too. Denied. He served 2 years before being released on parole. By the time he got out, Daniel had completely settled into their father's house, renovated the kitchen, turned their dad's office into a library, used the investment accounts to set up college funds for his 2 kids. Marcus's wife had divorced him while he was in prison, took their kids to another state. His business had collapsed. Clients didn't want to work with a convicted fraudster. He lost everything because he tried to take everything. Daniel reached out once after Marcus was released, sent a letter. I would have split it with you, 50-50 like Dad wanted. All you had to do was be honest. I hope you understand what you threw away. It wasn't just money. It was us. Marcus never responded. Here's what this case teaches us. Greed doesn't just make people dishonest. It makes them stupid. If Marcus had honored the will, he would have walked away with $1.2 million. Set for life. His kids' futures secured. His brother's respect intact. Instead, he tried to take everything and ended up with nothing. A criminal record, a destroyed family, and the knowledge that his own father had predicted his betrayal. That hidden clause? Their father wasn't being paranoid. He was being realistic. He loved both his sons. But he knew Marcus had a weakness, and he protected Daniel from it. That's the kind of foresight that saves families. For anyone dealing with estates, here's what you need to know. Always get the original will. Copies can be altered. Always verify documents before signing. Read every word. Never trust someone just because they're family. Money reveals who people really are. And if you're drafting a will, consider protective clauses. They exist for a reason. Marcus thought he was smarter than everyone else. Thought he could outsmart his father's wishes. Thought his brother would never fight back. He was wrong on all counts. And that's what makes this justice so perfect. If this story made you think about trust and betrayal, hit that subscribe button. We cover cases where karma destroys the greedy and justice prevails. Like this video if you think Marcus deserved everything he got. Comment below if you've dealt with estate fraud in your own family. And share this with someone who needs to understand why honesty matters. This is Maxime Verdier, and I'll see you in the next case. Justice always finds a way.